My name is Valentina, and as always, it's nice to meet you. Guys, I plan on putting a lot more effort into releasing videos more often, but you'll need to give me some support, man. Like, put a comment, you could put a heart just for the algorithm, like the video. Damn, like, I'm literally giving you value, okay? I'm actually giving you value, and it's just nice, like, literally, because yeah, I'm just saying. I'm here to talk about attraction and like just my own take and like what I want to speak about in relation to attraction. There's no real purpose. It's just to like basically talk about attraction and what people find attractive in today's society and my own take on everything. And this is probably going to be like part one because I'm going to do other videos on attraction. So our different types of attraction, obviously we have sexual attraction, we have platonic, we have emotional attraction, sensual attraction, and we have aesthetic attraction. It's so interesting how like I did the research for this video a long time ago, but like I just like it was today when like I needed to make the video and I was getting all my material together and reading through everything, and I was like, oh, sensual attraction is a thing. I think I'm gonna make a video on that one specifically because I've like, guys, am I the only one? Like, there are people that I would love to like touch up on all day, hug all day, hold all day, but I don't necessarily want to do anything with them. And then there are people that I would want to do things with, but I don't want them touching me. So that's interesting. Attraction is unique from individual to individual, obviously. And now I want to talk about what makes a person attractive. First, people's eyes, if that reflects youth, fertility, or good health. Men are attracted to women who look young. Doing this research taught me how to do makeup in a way that I would be found generically attracted to everyone without having to go over the top, because there are certain things that mind finds attractive and like it's just kind of like mostly natural in most people to find attractive. Men like eyes that reflect fertility, youthfulness, reproductive fitness, because when your eyes are youthful, it's a sign that you're youthful and then you can do all these things for society. Smell and the nose. So pheromones, like it's a theory at least, like where we release pheromones and like from the smell. It's not something we pick up on consciously, but like someone's pheromones could make us attracted to them or drawn to them. So pheromones tell us about genetic health, like the smell, and it's not, we don't do this consciously, obviously, and like this could cause like a physical or mental reaction to an individual. I mean, if like their pheromones are like drawing us in, so that's something else that could make a person attractive. And it's not physical, not visible. In relation to sound in your ears, men generally find high-pitched voices. Oh, please. Men find high-pitched voices more attractive, and women find deeper voices more attractive because scientifically or mentally, we're associated with bigger or smaller bodies. Like, generally, women with small bodies tend to have higher-pitched voices, and men with bigger bodies tend to have lower-pitched voices. So yeah. And then this brings me to size. Men tend to like women who are smaller than them because they generally, I don't know if this is a natural scientific thing or it's a society thing, but generally that's associated with femininity and fragility and all these things that someone in their ego and someone who wants to feel dominant would admire. Pheromones can lead a man to pursue a woman due to testosterone boost. So like I think this is the answer for some of you who are like, she's not attractive, why does everyone like her? It might be her genes might be better than yours, she might be eating better than you, something, I don't know what influences into pheromones, but something could be doing that beyond the physical. Physical is just one attribute, and in this society, because we're so physical based, so aesthetic based, like we don't really care what's actually happening, we just care how it looks. We're not aware of these other things that come into play, but it's a factor. So men like women with high-pitched breathy voices. Marilyn Monroe. Anyway, back to what I was saying. This is my natural tone of voice when just speaking. But if I'm talking to a guy I like, I'm like, oh yeah, so how you doing? And it's a natural thing. Don't give yourself, like when you get excited, that's what your brain does naturally, because you've also like as a woman, you've also evolved to use that to attract who you want to attract. It's a very natural thing for women to have higher pitched voices around people they like and all that. And like I have lower pitched voices around men I do not like. I feel like that's the easiest way to tell if I like you or not. But I think sometimes I could do that so people would think I don't like them. Oh no. Oh yeah, in relation to touch, temperature could change how people react to something regardless of the actual reality of that situation. So if you are like, and I feel like I'm giving so many people hints for manipulation, and now I'm beginning to think I might be a very, very skilled person at manipulation. I should start using it. Anyway, so in relation to temperature, there was an experiment done and they found that like people could read different things in different, was it rooms, or I don't know, it had something to do with temperature, whether or not it was cold or hot, and how that changes the perception of like that situation they're going through. In summary, kisses in relation to touch, basically kisses can make your perception of time be warped, and that could just lead to like you being more fixated on the person in that moment, giving you tunnel vision. Also, there are chemicals released when we kiss people, so what that does is like it just, you know, does things to us. And then because of like the genetic DNA information, it transfers genetic information, and as a result some people lose interest after the first kiss, not necessarily because the person was a good or bad kisser. They just basically are like, yep, we're not compatible. People tend to want to be with people who have more genetic differences than them, because then they have a higher chance of having an offspring that can survive in both places. This might explain why people are drawn to people outside their race. Who knows? I do not know. But just food for thought. Attraction, I want to talk about like how attraction basically warps our perception of people. Like now that I've talked about what people find attractive and like ways we can be attracted to people, I want to talk about how that translates, that like affects our perception of people, how or not. I want to talk about how people benefit from this, or like just how it translates in reality. Basically, there's something called the halo effect, and this is basically when one good trait spills over to the rest of them. So let's say you find someone attractive, as a result you're more likely to downplay their negatives because of that one positive trait. And it's a psychological thing that happens to people. That's why we just tend to associate good personality traits with pretty faces, because I'm like, if their face is good, then something else must be good, I guess, or to at least justify why we are like drawn or attracted to these individuals. This is kind of like what happens with celebrities. Like if you see a lot of comments about who they are, we don't know because they only show us what they want us to know. But if a lot of people's commentary on who they are oftentimes is linked to their face. Oh, she's so cute, she's such a great person. Like, no, she's just cute and she could also be a great person, but not necessarily. And like this comes into the whole conversation about pretty privilege and everything, which is very real. I don't even know why people question how real pretty privilege is. Like, very much real. And obviously what we consider pretty as society has to do with our conditioning, so this also leads to other issues like colorism and all these things, because if you've been programmed to perceive something as beautiful, not necessarily based on any evolutionary reasons or anything, and then you see that thing, you're more likely to associate it with good because of the halo effect that still applies regardless of the reality of the situation. So if you've been told dark skin is bad your entire life and it's ugly and it's all these things, you would generally just think that people with lighter skin are nicer people, and it just is what it is. To like tone and how this applies in the real world, there was like a video where people basically watched a man talk in two different tones about the same thing, and their reaction was different because of the tone of voice, and how people can use this to basically insult us without us even realize we're being insulted. And yeah, it's just another thing in relation to like attraction and the sound of voice and all that, and why women could say things that men are saying, but it would not be taken as seriously due to the fact that like the voice is just seen as more attractive, and that basically blinds people from hearing what these women are saying. That's just my own take on how that might translate to the role. Why the halo effect is so powerful is that, and just yeah, because I think that the one about tone is also a halo effect. Why the halo effect is so powerful is because we don't like our minds being in a state of cognitive dissonance, and cognitive dissonance is when your mind is holding two contradicting ideas simultaneously, and that stresses our brain out a lot. We don't like it, hence why people would do anything to avoid it, and they would justify a lot of things. But it's sad because we're in a world where two things can be true at the same time, but our minds haven't really caught up with that reality. We don't want cognitive dissonance because we don't want the positive traits we've associated with this individual, which could be their voice, their looks, or just anything, to basically be destroyed by negative. So yeah, we just don't want the negative to affect the positive we've already associated with these individuals. So we like paint them with a broad brush, and we're like, pretty, so you're good, so everything you do is good and cute and pretty. I literally insult men and they're smiling, and I'm like, I just insulted you. If someone else had said it, this reaction would be very different. Or like how a woman will voice her opinion online and then guys are like, she's not even pretty. Like, so looks matter, but let's find out how much, right? So generally they found that women tend to have more vérités over men, which is really sad because it means that like men want a smaller group of women collectively than women want men. So there are more women that are like open to different types of men. Like, do you see how it would like explain all the issues we have in the dating sphere and these streets? Women tend to have more diverse types than men. So basically what this means is like from woman to woman, they would like different things. Like you can't just pick one photo and be like, most women would like this, as easily as you'd be able to do that with men. So their type is more universal than it is with women. And with the photo experiment, they found that people tended to prefer photos that had more personality over photos that didn't, and personality over flesh. So people tend to like or be interested or like attracted, especially like mentally, to, oh yeah, that's another thing, I didn't mention mental attraction. But yes, they attracted mentally to people who seem to just have more personality and more depth in their pictures, or whatever frame they're viewing them through in that point in time, over people who showed flesh. But generally looks matter more to men than it does to women. Now back to the whole conversation about colorism. The halo effect thing isn't reflective of whether or not these people are actually beautiful or not. Is the whole mere exposure when you expose someone to something over and over again, you're quite brainwashing them to normalize that thing they're being exposed to versus something they're not exposed to. And since there's not as much representation for like real black women, and by real black women I mean like people who are genetically not fully but like mostly black, like you cannot look at them and question that shit. Those type of people are not as represented in media. Even people who are fully black that are represented in media tend to have more in common with white people than they do with a lot of people in their own race phenotypically. So I'm talking about people that black people who have more in common with white people than most black people. In relation to like their phenotype and or your skin is your largest organ. If your skin, which is like your entire largest organ, is more white than it is black, don't pretend as if you will not enjoy privileges. And this is as a result of mere exposure. These people who have been around white people and the pedestalization of white femininity or white beauty or white handsomeness would more likely be attracted to whiter looking people, not because of just self-hatred, but because of mere exposure. So if you are not necessarily white skinned but lighter skinned, to deny colorism is so dumb, because even if it's not consciously, people will just generally perceive you as more attractive because they have been brainwashed to perceive whiteness as more attractive. It has less to do with mixed people or light-skinned people or brown-skinned people, because like I feel like it's depending on where you're in. Like, I get benefits from my skin color. I always tell people this, like, being this skin color has literally, like, I'll tell you guys stories one day, but I'm saying, like, for me, it's, you don't even have to be the lightest of the light to enjoy benefits from colorism, and you don't have to be the darkest of the dark to suffer colorism. There are light-skinned people who have suffered colorism because they were in a predominantly white place. So I'm not trying to dismiss anyone's struggle. I'm just trying to say that this is a thing. Repeated exposure to something increases its perceived value. So if you're repeatedly exposed to people with slimmer noses being portrayed as beautiful, or even the most average person, consistently you're being told that's what beauty is meant to be, that's what you're going to see beauty as. How much the looks matter. So in a study that was done in middle schools, I think that was where I got this information from. Middle school, like age 12 to 19, if I'm remembering correctly. And they were just doing research about like attractiveness, or what people found attractive and how that influenced the lives of the people who were found attractive. And generally in this age group, people who were attractive enjoyed more popularity. And like in middle schools and high schools, obviously this is currency. What's crazy is they enjoyed more popularity than even people who did like activities that put them in the public eye, like sport. It's literally like and also they even had more popularity than people who are actually social, that were not just as attractive. The authority for this is Zakian. A study amongst 50 females showed that attractiveness was equivalent, or almost always equivalent, with social dominance. 1984, Wakefield and Block. There's one more, I think it's Ivers or Iris. I don't know how to pronounce the last person's name, but yeah. Attractiveness affects self-esteem. So if you've been told all your life you're ugly, then you just think you're not worth as much as someone who isn't. Like I said, how much it looks matter. So basically, perception of self tends to matter more than other people's perception of individuals in general. So what am I trying to say here? If someone perceives themselves as unattractive due to beauty standards, so for instance, let's say you're light skinned, you are thick, slim, thick, but you have a broad nose, and in your head you need a slim nose to be attractive. No matter how attractive the world finds you, you would have low self-esteem as a result of attraction, but not because everyone else thinks you're unattractive, but because you think, because of one flaw or one way you failed to meet up to this thing, you're unattractive, while simultaneously still being the standard. Do you understand what I mean? Sometimes the world isn't as picky as we think they are. Also, how much your attraction matters. Okay, a lot of people, it matters a lot. Attraction matters a lot because like people literally make money off their physical looks. So quite literally, your looks could give you life because you need money to survive in this world. And someone who's unattractive doesn't have that option. So yes, it matters. Well, as a result of this pressure, some people have gone to extreme lengths to maintain a certain physique or a certain look. This could be through plastic surgery, literally trying to be thin, literally killing themselves to try and meet the standard. The effects of like this pressure is anorexia, bulimia, some other eating disorders, like just so many things people do to try and look a certain way. People go get plastic surgery, and I don't even think plastic surgery is as bad as like anorexia and bulimia, like in relation to the risk and like harm and all of that. I don't think plastic surgery is as bad as anorexia or bulimia, but it could still lead to death. And there's also like a manifestation of attraction being very valuable in today's society, and what people would do in order to just get more of an advantage. Generally, people who think they are unattractive are more likely to use substances to basically numb themselves. Are just more likely to use substances, basically. Reasons might vary, but I'm sure one is the numbing effect and just not feeling valuable. And this is regardless of physical reality. So if someone just feels unattractive, that's enough of a reason for them to go into drugs. And this is why we have so many fatal beauty stories, like people like Marilyn Monroe, Dorothy Dandridge, and all these women who are so gorgeous, but probably don't even know how gorgeous themselves. So how do you deal with this cruel world that literally is just terrible. All of us even contribute to this in the first place, so we can't even begin complaining. First, for yourself, you have to make yourself the most beautiful person, you know? Everything about you has to become the standard. At least that's what I did for myself. Like, I'm like, I'm gorgeous, man. Just all those things. If you are going through issues where you feel unattractive and all these things, you could try by deconditioning your mind. If you're into spirituality, you could do some mirror magic. Like, some people use mirror magic to change their features, to lose weight, to do different things. Just there, putting that out there. Also, daily affirmation. You could do this in front of the mirror, which would be a type of mirror magic, I guess, but not really. But you could just say daily affirmations in general without mirrors if you're not into like practices and all those things. Start with questions like this: why do I think Beyonce is prettier than me? Because in reality, I've met a lot of people prettier than Beyonce, but the halo effect of her money and her success and her clout makes me think that my own opinion about their beauty being superior to hers is invalid. So yeah, ask yourself why do you think you're unattractive? Why is that feature bad? Why is it ugly? Why is having a pointy nose that extends all the way here so scary for you? Why is having a broad nose so bad? Why is your lip being thin a bad thing? Like, why? Is it because someone else has bigger lips? And then finding the root cause and kind of trying to heal from there by like being nicer to yourself and just telling yourself better, like telling yourself better things, honestly. So thank you guys for tuning into my channel today. Thank you for staying till the end of this video. I hope you learned something that was more educative than anything, but I love doing videos like this because I have such a scientific mind, and being able to like use both my beauty and my brain simultaneously. Like, I'm literally spending 40 minutes staring at myself in the camera. I like doing that. So yeah, support my vanity, and see you guys around. Like, share, and subscribe. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye.